Hi, everybody. What beautiful, beautiful music. I absolutely love it. Thank you for joining us today for our Little Italy of Los Angeles podcast. I'm so glad that you're here with us today, and that music is just so wonderful. We're going to have a little more of that later on in our show. Joining us today is Matthew Biancaniello. Thanks so much for being here, Matthew.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
You are such an exciting person. I'm so honored to have you on. You call yourself a cocktail chef. You're going to describe that a little bit.
Sure.
And also you have the honor from Eater LA of being called the most coveted bartender in Los Angeles. So how fun that you're going to be doing also an event for us on our Little Italy of Los Angeles Association on September 3rd. We'll talk about that a little bit too. So first of all, tell us, what is a cocktail chef?
Well, for me, it really comes down to, 12 years ago, I really needed a job. I was lucky enough to know the manager at the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel, and she kind of gave me a shot. I really didn't have any experience. So just a quick thing is, it's really, for me, the fusion of food and alcohol together. So it's much more of taking the approach to cocktails in a much more culinary way. Not just foraging, not just growing them, not just going to the farmer's market, but also cooking things and creating things, or like you'll see in the masterclass that I'm doing for Little Italy, I actually made dishes to pair with the cocktails. So it's a different mindset in terms of being more culinary and more food conscious with the actual drinks.
You were talking to me a little bit about the way you connected with the customer, right? When you were at the Hollywood Roosevelt, how you would actually go out on your own, out of your own pocket, and you'd go to different farmers markets and source different kinds of ingredients and put them in your drinks. And customers and management were like, what is this? We've never tasted anything like it. Talk to me about that.
Well, I think it's pretty much like, nothing has changed in 12 years. So I like when people are like, how did you think of that? Or what's the newest trend? I'm like, just go to the farmer's market. I mean, I have been following what the farmers have been bringing for 12 years. And even though I grew up in a very culinary family in the sense of my grandparents, I'm half Greek, half Italian, but I was growing up more on my Greek side. I mean, they grew everything in their garden. They cooked every day. It was every amazing peasant dish from Greece that you could think of that's outstanding. But my point is, it's like, you start going to these farmers markets in education, right? And because we have extreme microclimates here in Southern California, we have so much diversity from citrus to herbs to tomato. I mean, you have a tomato season that goes all the way into Thanksgiving. So for me, it was all about the introduction to all of these things. But then you had all these different farmers growing things. And then you had these farmers who came from different backgrounds and nationalities, and they were growing things that they were nostalgic to of their homeland. So all of a sudden you would find something like a Suriname cherry that's from Peru because one of the farmers was Peruvian and he wanted to reintroduce it. I'm like, what is this? And when you start introducing things like that into cocktails, nobody has that. Nobody has that encyclopedia inside them. So it's exciting because you are programming them, you're educating them for the first time. We're learning together, but we're also like, things in drinks have such different flavors and excitement than in food, because when you take those textures out, you're getting the intense flavors. Okay, so someone who might not like tomatoes as a food might like them in a drink.
Sort of like when you're, tasting or drinking something and someone says, what do you taste? And you're like, I taste the tomato. I can taste cilantro, and with the way that you do it, almost like a scientist, really, there's
more, because I don't really feel like it's methodical. It's more alchemy, it's more because it's more like, because I wasn't trained, it's more like I take this and I do it. I don't think about right or wrong. It's like it's vibrancy, it's colors, it's peak flavor, it's beauty, all of those things. My mom was a big interior designer in Boston, so you go through the age, you don't know what's really affecting you until you have to do something. And I truly believe that this is a calling of mine. I'm not really a drinker. It's not something that I care about that much, but it's a huge calling that I have no explanation for, really,
Well, said like a true artist, Matthew. A true artist, right? Talk to me a little bit about some of the drinks that you love to prepare. specifically, if you can name them for me, and what are some of the ingredients? Just get some of the people.
Well,
who
listen,
are listening.
I'm gonna say three off the top, and I think two of them are included in the masterclass. So it's something that I hope will entice people. But one is a drink that had a really big reputation. It was called the Last Tango in Modena, and it was just gin, strawberries, a 25-year-old balsamic vinegar blend with a Saint Germain foam. So it sounds complicated, very simple. It's a little bit sweet, not too sweet. And then I have a drink that I love to do with arugula. So it's like a wild arugula gimlet. So it comes out.
That's mine. That's
definitely.
I'm an arugula lover. Okay.
Oh, you'll go crazy. It goes perfect with food. I'm serving it with a salmon collar for the masterclass. And then another drink that I love, it came out of from where my father's family is from Nusco. It's a small town in Naples. And they were really known for their heirloom tomatoes. And I used to do this heirloom tomato mojito, but it was with the green zebra heirloom tomatoes that are in season right now. And that's what I make my clear gazpacho with champagne as well. The flavor and the fruitiness, it's just outstanding. You can't call them tomatoes. I mean, they're just amazing.
Wow. So how did you learn though to pair it? As you said, you just you grab stuff, right? Whatever. That's exactly how a true Italian and Greek does stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Very often there's no recipe written down.
No.
They just do it by taste. They know what they're doing. They handle it, right? You also work a lot. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it's a relationship that you earn, right? You really earn this relationship, and it does get to the point where you're tasting in your head and you're going by intuition, but that doesn't mean that there wasn't a long process of trying things. Not that I had all these crazy ideas. It was just more like tasting things and just naturally knowing flavor. And that was that way as a kid. It's like I loved food and I loved mixing things together. And I loved it all, but I loved using my hands too. And that was really from my grandparents as well. Yeah.
How exciting too. Little Italy we're about to start a new a farmer's market down there in San Diego, which is a tremendous Italian area here. It's a Little Italy district. We're so excited about that. So now you can go sort some of your stuff down there, because I know you don't live really too far at all.
I don't live too far. The thing that's really important about that is when I really break down to people really how simple it is what I do and how it's really based on a formula. Anyone within 5 minutes of taking my class could have anything from their garden, anything from the supermarket, anything from these farmers market, and honestly really create an incredible cocktail from scratch that they could make for their friends that no one would know how long they've been doing it or not.
Do you also offer suggestions on the type of liquor to purchase?
I do. Yeah, I do. It just happens to be that I'm half Greek, half Italian. I'm in love with this Greek Italian vodka right now that's produced in Greece, made from green olives. I'm like, how can that not be perfect for Italians right now?
Oh, I have to learn that. I have to know that, because
it's Castra e Leon.
Say it again.
Castra e Leon.
Okay.
It's a vodka made from green olives. It's amazing. And I'm not much. I use a lot of other alcohols mostly, but if I'm going to use vodka now, this is my go-to vodka. It's just got a beautiful silkiness, smooth. You'd love it, and that's what I can do your arugula drink with.
Love that. Tell me a little bit before you got into this, right? You had a pivotal time in your life, as we all often do, where you made a film. What was that film about, and how did that change your life and put you on a new path?
I made a film because I was very into filmmaking. I was into acting. I was into possibly even doing underwater films and being a documentary filmmaker. But at the time, it was something that was, I battled an eating disorder for probably a good 20, 25 years, binge eating disorder. And it was something that I really battled mostly privately, And so I made this film called The Bread Basket. And the bread basket is a colloquial term. My father he was an Italian growing up in Brooklyn. And it was a colloquial term for your stomach, right? They would say, oh, I'm going to tap you in your bread basket, right? And so the movie became about me, and loosely based on me, really, of being obsessed with his stomach and his weight and not being able to control it. And it was a very, very cathartic film for me, something that I needed to do. And it kind of released a lot for me,
What did you learn from that? You said it released a lot from you. What did it show you that you were, because you were a binge eater, you said. I was a binge eater,
but here's the thing. It's like you always know these things about yourself. I think we had a little bit of a conversation. I don't want to get into it, but we had a little bit of a conversation. I think like you go through life and there's these instincts you have about yourself, and you choose how close you want to get to it. You choose how much you want to take the rug underneath, right? So we at any given moment have a standard for ourselves of how much we really want to know about ourselves, right? And I think what happened was when you make a film, and it really was true to life because a lot of it was improvised, now I'm watching myself. It's not just I'm talking to you, I'm writing in my journal, I'm watching myself. And you can't get any more graphic than that. You can't get more graphic than seeing what I'm doing in it. And I had just gotten into yoga, which I started about 17 years ago. And I think the combination of having that awareness and doing yoga and having other things that were calming me really started the trajectory of me getting more into health and being conscious. And even though there were times where I still gained weight and stuff, I never binge eated again. I never overate the way that I did. I mean, if I gained weight, it was more because of what I was eating, but I wasn't like going into my refrigerator and taking frozen bread and putting maple syrup on it,
Right. I absolutely know what you're talking about. Yeah. A lot of people do, and you've got to watch it, but you've got to have that aha moment like you do. I get it. But what's interesting is you got to the other side of that, and now you work with food, and it's a pleasure. It's a friend to you, right?
Absolutely.
It's a fellow artist.
That's really what it is, because I really was into food when I was younger, and even lots of family members when I would cook, like, I think you missed your calling. You're supposed to be a chef. But deep down, I was like, I'm not safe around food. Like I wasn't going to say that out loud, but like, I don't feel safe. It's like, I remember I worked in high school at a sandwich shop in Harvard Square. I lived in Cambridge. And I remember the manager coming to me, he's like, are you going to eat more than you're going to sell right now? Like, that's what they said to me. I mean, but I was thin. I was a triathlete, so I was like eating up a storm, but I was thin as can be, but there was still that behavior. And then the fact that someone said that to me, I'm like, it just like rattled me,
Amazing. How did you end up out in California? If you could tell us a short story.
Yeah, I mean, I basically had a trajectory. I mean, I moved out. My brother was out here for a while. I went to live with him when he was there. Then I moved back to New York, and I lived there for 7 or 8 years. Then I moved to Santa Barbara, where I got a lot into scuba diving and underwater filming. Then I went back to New York thinking I missed it. I was only there for 2 years, realized after you live in California, you're a totally different person.
You can't go back.
No.
Yeah.
And then I've been back here now. It's been 20 years exactly. And it was really my girlfriend at the time. I had a really awesome job at Time Out magazine in New York. And I did a lot of things. I was in ad sales, I sold art. And so she just couldn't handle it anymore. You can't take somebody from California and bring them to New York. So we moved back here, and then that was the best thing that ever happened. And I just fell in love with the diversity. And really, since I've done this now, that's 12 years, I don't even feel like I've been in LA for more than 5 years sometimes,
Tell me about it. We've been here for a little while, and people are like, how long have you been here? And I feel like, wow, I still feel new here. Every day I wake up, it's exciting. As my husband and I used to say, we would look at the news at night, right, back then, and there would be 5 or 7 sunballs. And when you're from back east, right, you don't get those 5 or 7 sunballs. There's a rain cloud.
I remember. Yeah, I remember my father. It was the funniest thing because he hated everything about California. He's just a real New Yorker. But he used to be like, there's 1 or 2 perfect days in New York a year. I'm like, okay, Dad. Okay.
Right. Come on out here with our sunballs. Let's talk quickly about also, you had a restaurant which sort of did very, very well. But then what happened to it? Could you tell us?
Yeah,
and it's out in Malibu.
So when I had left, I started at the Hollywood Roosevelt. I was there for 4.5 years, and when I left there, that's when I really fused food and alcohol. I really started doing alcoholic oysters, alcoholic ice creams. I got really into, and then I met an amazing chef called Roberto Cortez, and we started doing these dinners where I would pair, he would do 10 courses of this unbelievable stuff, and I would pair 10 cocktails, right? So I got really in. Yeah, it was really beautiful, and we've done 4 so far. And who knows, the next one might be Berlin. I have no idea. But it got me into wanting to do everything, right? And so I opened about 1.5 years ago, a little bit more, place in Malibu. I worked on it for 6 months. Calamigos Guest Ranch were my partners.
Which is such a stunning place, right?
Oh my God, it's unbelievable.
It's hard to believe you're in California.
I know, it's unbelievable. And so down at the Beach Club, which was on PCH, I created the matriarch of Calamigos. Her name is Mon Lee, so that's their mom, right? So we named the restaurant after her, and it was a 12-seat bar restaurant. So it was 18 courses, 12 courses of liquids, 6 courses of food. And it was 4 nights a week we started, right? And I was booked. It was 2 sittings a night. It was $200 a person. I had all my gardens in front. I had my own bees to create my own honey. And 1 month after I opened, yeah, and you're right, we had incredible reviews, Forbes, everywhere. And I was waiting. Michelin was coming, and best bars in the world were kind of, because all this stuff was lined up, and it burned in the fire, that big Malibu fire, 1 month after I was open. And that was a huge thing. I mean, that was just like, and the thing is, I really went into a coma. I didn't see that coming, especially I was on the ocean. It came diagonally to me and Malibu seafood, and that's about it.
Yes, so it did. And I have friends up in Point Doom. I mean, it never burns in Point Doom. You're on the water.
Yeah.
And exactly. it consumed that too. So
yeah,
it was. I can't say you went into a coma, but clearly you came out of a coma, because look at you now.
Oh, so, yeah. Well, that has always been part of my story, and I'm not done yet, which is the beautiful thing about life, and the most beautiful thing of the human spirit is it goes beyond the phoenix rising, and it goes beyond how much resilience a human being has, because we love to overcome things. And I think the fact is, I just had an extraordinary experience of having to recreate myself once again, and that's what it's about. It's like, are you going to evolve or not?
And now here you are living the life in Los Angeles, California.
Yeah.
Family.
I've been here 1 year.
What's that?
I feel like I've been here 1 year.
I'm with you. I get it. And now, of course, you're doing a spectacular event for us on September 3rd. So let's get everybody a little excited. Talk about the 3. I think you're having 3 courses, or tell me what you're doing a little bit.
So I'm very excited.
Go ahead.
Very excited about this. I'm very honored to be partnering with, Little Italy of Los Angeles. And it's going to air on September 3rd. And I'm showing you 3 different cocktails. I have an Italian Greyhound, which is a passion fruit cocktail. And passion fruit just came back in the season. It's my favorite fruit in the world. And I pair that with a special kind of Italian guacamole that I do. And then I have my favorite cocktail of all time. It's called the Roquette. So it's the Ricola, right? It's made from arugula. And it really gets into really how easy it is to make a drink. So I really get into the formula of that. And that gets paired with my salmon collar that I broil. And then the last one is my dessert. It's a coffee cocktail that I make, un caffè va bene, with chinar and espresso, and I make my tiramisu to go with it. So it's just really simple. I love showing people, I think, more than just sipping on, because that's what cocktails are for me. Their beauty, their vibrancy, they go with food, their celebration. It's not just throwing back alcohol to get drunk,
No. Is there a way that people can purchase the liquor earlier?
Yeah, so you can do that. So the best thing to do is, I have my website, which is MatthewBiancaniello.com, and you can go on the menu section of that. It shows you how to order. There's going to be specials and things like that. 20% is all going to go, of everything I sell is going to go back to Little Italy. And also, the way to really communicate with me is really DMing me through my Instagram account, which is @Eat Your Drink, because I like to keep everything together.
Consistent. I know. Same way.
I can't have emails and I'll lose everybody,
I tell people that too. I'm like, please don't email me. Just DM me. It's so much easier. It's right in your face.
It's right there. Yeah. Okay. And especially, it's really the only thing I do is I use my cocktails really just for that.
Yeah. So @Eat Your Drink, you could tell you, and also on your website, you could tell people what they can purchase if they want to purchase it at a time. And walk along with you as you prepare.
Absolutely. And listen, if you want to, you want to make these things and then you just want to order other cocktails from me, that's fine too. I mean, it is Labor Day, and I know people's skills in the last 4 or 5 months are great with cooking and making drinks. But if they want to say, hey, I'm taking this weekend off, they want it delivered, you got it.
You got it. Yeah. You got it. That's beautiful. I really appreciate you coming on. And
thank you, Deborah.
A little bit about your story. And I just love what you do. As I said to you when we first spoke, it's so unique. I've never met or talked with anyone who does something so exotic, spectacular, but yet simple. Yeah. Because it just uses locally sourced ingredients.
Exactly.
Very easy.
Always follow the seasons. One of my favorite things, because I really like making virgin cocktails too, Yeah. And I remember when I was at the Roosevelt, one of my favorite things is someone came in, they said, oh, could I have a Shirley Temple? And I said, well, that's out of season, right? And they go, what do you mean it's out of season? I said, well, do you know that real grenadine, not that stuff there, is actually made from pomegranate juice, not cherries, and that pomegranates are in the fall and it's not around right now. And that was the first of like, I am sticking to this until the day I die. I am not wavering from this philosophy. It was too powerful, too strong. It guided me all the way, and I loved it.
You're like so many of the great Italians that we interview on our podcast. For Little Italy of LA, you follow your passion, there you go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It might not hit the first time or second time, but you just keep at it, right? And now look,
well, that's the Joseph Campbell quote too, follow your bliss and doors will open that you never expected. And that's been my whole life since this has happened in so many different ways.
Yeah, I'm real happy for you, Matthew. And I'm
Thank
happy
you, Deborah.
each other, and I look forward to September 3rd. I really do. Everybody go on our page, Little Italy of LA Association. There will be an Eventbrite link. And you can find it there. I'm pretty sure that's the way, right, Matthew? And you probably
I think so. I think that's the beginning. Everything is really on their site, and it's going to be very clear. And if it directs you to my site will direct you clearly, specifically what you need to do. So I don't think there'll be much of an error there.
Thank you so much. That's been a great time talking to you, and everybody. Thank you for listening to our Little Italy of Los Angeles podcast. I am Deborah Zara Kobylt, and I think we're going to end our show now listening to a little bit of our music, our new music for our podcast. I just think it's so beautiful. So thanks to Shelby and everyone else over at Little Italy for making that happen. You could find us on Facebook and on YouTube, and also we're on Instagram as well. Little Italy of LA. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and thanks again, Matthew. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Deborah.
Beautiful.